there, welcome to my channel. If you are new, my name is Kay. I'm a professional home organizer, and today we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind for a while. We're not going to do any organizing with me. I'm not going to show you how to organize things. I'm going to talk about something that I've been thinking about for the last few weeks, and it is about the way that you talk to yourself about your home. Every now and again, I like to give y'all a little tough love, and today I want to give you tough love about giving yourself tough love. In the years that I've spent helping people declutter, I don't go into clients' homes anymore, but in the years that I was doing that, I've noticed a very common theme within all of these people, and it starts out with the initial inquiry email that I would get. It would say oh my gosh, I need somebody to organize my home. It's so awful. I feel really bad about the way that it is. And it's okay to feel bad about the state of your home. But inevitably when I would come over, I would ask for them to show me around their home, because that's what I do when I was organizing, and to talk about, the way that things functioned. And it would always be the same. Everyone was apologizing every 5 seconds about things being out of place, things being out of order, having too many items. They would say all these kinds of things about themselves, and it made me really sad. Everyone was so mean to themselves about the state of your home. And I just wanted to just think about this for a couple of seconds. Have you said any of the following things to yourself about your home? It's such a mess. How could I let this happen? My best friend, grandma, aunt, whoever would be so mortified if she saw the state of my home. I am so disorganized. Why can't I get it together? My house is such a mess. I'm the worst. I'm going to tell you something. And just be ready. Are you ready? Are you sitting down? Sit down. Regardless of what you see on social media, having a perfectly organized, minimal home is literally just a state and has nothing to do with your value as a person. Having an organized home is not a virtue. It's not. It's literally just a state. It doesn't have any bearing on whether or not you're a good person or not. It's literally just a state. Yes, maybe it says something about the amount of stress you are experiencing and dealing with, because let's be honest, when I am very busy and when my life is a little more stressful, my home can get it can fall apart a little bit, but I'm still a good person. If you have been being mean to yourself and saying you're a terrible person because your home is a little messy or you're disorganized, stop it. Stop it right now. Listen, I get it. I've been posting my home on social media for years, and I got the influx of mean comments, and because negative bias is a thing, how you remember the bad thing over the good thing, over all of the hundreds and hundreds of terrible comments I would get, I would always really remember the bad ones. I always remember the comments that pissed me off the most, and one time I even made an entire video reacting to mean comments, because somehow I thought if I took the power back and made a profit off of the comments, it would make me feel better. Spoiler alert. Did not, in fact, make me feel better. It actually made me feel worse. In the past few months, I realized that a shift in my thinking and the way that I react to these comments, and also the comments made to me by me, has changed everything. Over the last year, I've been keeping a sort of a visual diary over on my vlog channel, and over on that channel, I talk a lot about something called imposter syndrome. In 2018, I really found out that I really suffered from imposter syndrome, and a lot of us experience imposter syndrome at some points in our lives. Whenever we're trying something new, we feel like we don't know what we're doing and everyone's going to find out we're a fraud. But I have been experiencing a level of imposter syndrome that was particularly crippling, and especially in my classical music career. This kind of thinking and this kind of self-talk had been holding me back for years and years and years. And for years, I was so scared to audition for anything or scared to sing for anyone. And the things that I was saying to myself were literally so mean. If someone were to come up to me and say these things to my face, I might call the police. And after years of therapy, I have discovered that you don't have to be nice to yourself in order to get past the imposter syndrome. I've actually done a lot of work dealing with it, and instead of being held back by the imposter syndrome, I kind of push back against it and work with the fear instead of letting it stop me. I'm scared every day I go to sing for someone new. scared as hell, but I do it anyway. The thing that I learned that helped me the most is not to get to a point where I'm being kind to myself, because let's be honest, I've been saying mean stuff to myself, been really hard on myself for a lifetime, and I'm not gonna get from that point to like being kind to myself and being all earthy crunchy anytime soon. But you know where I can get immediately? Neutral. The way that you talk to yourself is really, really, really powerful. And I spent so much time invested on the stories that I made up about other people, the way that they thought about me, that I put a lot of that energy away from actually improving on the things where I was weak. And the fact that I was weak in some areas, to me, was like the most terrible thing. But in reality, having weaknesses and not being strong in a lot of areas, that's actually pretty normal. I spent 2 weeks at Vancouver Early Music Festival, just like learning and going to master classes. And I remember having this coaching with a harpsichordist. And during the entire time we're having a coaching, I'm apologizing for the way my voice sounds. Every time I pronounced a word wrong, every time I sung a wrong note, I would just apologize. And I said, oh gosh, I'm sorry, my voice sounds like this. I'm not doing very well. I just was getting all wrapped up in my whole beating myself up kind of thing. And he turned to me and he said, do you know what's holding you back? Why don't you go over to that bathroom over there and look in the mirror? He was so right. He was so right. Now that was over like a decade ago, and it took me a long time to get to a point where I was ready to be dedicated to my music career despite being afraid of everything, because I was afraid. I'm still afraid right now. I decided that instead of beating myself up for my weaknesses, that I would work on them, and that I would be neutral about things that just happened. My voice cracked. That happened. I sang a wrong note. That happened. I'm not singing loud enough. I'll do the best I can. A lot of us feel the same way about the state of our homes. We look around and we're like, oh, it's such a mess. I'm really disorganized. I must be terrible. Or I must have done something terrible. Or gosh, I own so many things. I'm terrible. And I know that we live in a society where we have a problem with rampant consumerism, and it's hard to not have that problem. We have Amazon, we got Temu, we got Target, we have messages on TikTok and on Instagram and Facebook that tell us to buy all the things. We have this sort of FOMO, keep up with the Jones scenario that we have to contend with. And buying things doesn't make you a bad person, though. Having a home that is messier than you'd like, and being a little disorganized, and having your home be just not what you'd want it to be, doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you, are you ready? I don't think you're ready. Human. Being a good person and having a perfectly organized, minimal home are not mutually exclusive. I think more of us need to acknowledge that. There's this whole movement in minimalism, and I've talked about this in a previous video because it bothered me a little bit, that minimalism is somehow a virtue of a good person, like it's in the Bible or something. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, thou shalt not own more than the minimal amount of items. Too often, we're placing moral value on things that just don't need them. Like, let's say like maybe a Twinkie has less nutritional value than like say a bowl of broccoli. But if you ate the Twinkie, you're still awesome. You just ate a Twinkie. Let's be honest, Twinkies are good. Does eating a Twinkie make you a monster though? No. So stop it. The main thing I realized about beating yourself up is it doesn't, at the end of the day, do anything for you at all. It just makes you feel bad. And maybe you think, maybe the limbic part of your brain is thinking, oh, it'll make me motivated because I'm going to talk to myself and say, you're a terrible person because you didn't clean up your house. And that'll motivate me to actually get up off my ass and clean my house. It won't. It just will make you feel bad. So stop it. You are being your own bully, and that's not cool. If your house is a mess, you're still awesome. If you can't find your keys, you're still awesome. If your closet is messy and you can't let go of that dress you wore in 11th grade because it reminded you of your ex-boyfriend, that maybe he got away and he lives in Oklahoma now and he's got, 2 kids and a golden retriever, and you see it on Facebook and all the time, you're still awesome. You don't have to get too nice to yourself, because that's a long way to go. Again, that's a long way to go. Just get to neutral. Neutral is somewhere you can get immediately. Like, I still say bad things to myself in my own thoughts, but I kind of let them go by and go, okay. And then I just keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think at a lot of points, it's helpful to remind yourself what you think actually makes somebody a bad person, like stealing, hurting other people, being mean to other people. There are plenty of people who are willing to tell you you suck, you're a, terrible person, you're a mess, you're all that. Especially if you're on YouTube, there's plenty of people who feel like they need to write that in the comment section. So the last person you need to be hearing that from is you. Just get to neutral. Instead of, my house is disorganized, I am a terrible person, adjust. My house is disorganized and it's really interfering with my ability to get out of the house on time. This weekend, I will address that. Neutral. You didn't beat yourself up. You didn't tell anyone they were terrible. You didn't say anything bad about your home. It's just a state. It's not a virtue. You're okay. Be neutral with yourself. If you can be kind to yourself, I say do that. I personally I don't think I'm ever going to get there, but I think I'm definitely going to continue being neutral. And that's helping me so much because it's taking some of the emotion away from things that are just a state and all the moral value also. Things that don't have moral value, like the state of your home or like whether or not your voice cracked during your solo. Okay, so that's it. That's all I wanted to say. It's been on my mind for a while. I see people apologizing for the state of their house. They're like, oh, it's such a mess. I'm so. It's just a state. Stop it. You're fabulous. Your house can be organized. Your house can be cleaned. You're still awesome. All right. That's it.